Pick up your gear and open your chests. Throw on your armor and head out on a quest. Hey, hey, it's a brand new day. On the Sword Coast, your allies will help with blades and bows and magic as well. Hey, hey, heroes on their way. Fighting forever against overwhelming odds. Fighting together in favor of multiple gods. Idle champions of the forgotten realms. Idle champions, adventure never ends. Idle champions, hit you while I'm there. Idle champions, you reset again. Idle champions. From Waterdeep to Icewind, head out to Chull or Shadowfell, hey, hey. Together we stay. Walk to the monsters, walk to the boss, walk to the right, it's never a loss, hey, hey. Bad guys to slay. Fighting forever against overwhelming odds. Fighting together in favor of multiple gods. Idle champions of the forgotten realms. Idle champions, adventure never ends. Idle champions, hit you while I'm there. Idle champions, you reset again. Idle champions.
Oh, that's my cue. Hey everybody. Welcome to another edition of Gaarawarr's Guide, the tutorial show. I'm Gaarawarr, and joining me today somehow is Mars. Mars is going to be producing the show. So he shall grab questions and say stuff in chat, the usual Mars things. Today's tutorial show is on Simril, Year 6. That means we will talk about such incredible topics as Yorvin, Lucius, and Warduke, but also, hey, Simril, and what are events anyway? Not necessarily in that order. And in fact, guaranteed to not be in that order. On this show, I talk for like the first hour-ish. And then I answer questions in the second hour. So if you have questions, you can throw them in chat. Follow the rules you see on the screen down below. That way our producer can see it. And then they can put them in a little document over here so that when I get to the end, when I get to the second half, I should say, then I can see all the questions that you asked. Otherwise, they would get lost in the ether. Yeah, something like that. So, because one of our champions is a little different, let's just dive right in. So normally in Idle Champions, you're doing campaign stuff, and one of these fun things over here on this campaign banner, which we now have 7 permanent campaigns, but every now and then, every 3 weeks, we have an event pop up, and it's always at the top of the banner. Click on it. It will take you to the map with only one adventure node, because that's all they use. With 3 adventures, one name. It's all the same name, but noting that they're for different champions. This is an event. An event always offers 3 champions, regardless of how many have ever arrived in that event. We are in year 6. That means once they drop the year 6 champion, which this year is Warduke, that means we'll have had 6 champions arrive with this event, but we only ever get to see 3. That prevents the game from being wildly busy during event times. You just focus on the 3, and all others are relegated to time gates from past years. So this year, Lucius, Yorvin, Warduke. Each event comes with its own favor. As you can see up here, you'll have to start from scratch and earn your own. I've done one really deep run. I'll have to do a couple more to really get that up there, but this is enough for me to complete all the stuff, which is nice. And getting more favor is nice because all of your favor it turns into a bonus for the permanent campaign of your choice once the event is done. So why do I bother getting this favor? Because it gets me a lot of favor somewhere else, and I like that. You'll also note there's some number with candles here. What the heck is that? These are event tokens. I just refer to them as event tokens. If you saw Sean's game show this week, Idle Answers with Mars and I, remembering the names of all of them, because to me they're all event tokens. So the event tokens in this event are candles. If you ever end up on a Idle Champions game show, now you know. So event tokens are earned simply by completing content. Every time you kill, like once every 25 seconds when you're killing things in an adventure, an event token will drop. There's no way to speed that up. You can't, speed champions or potions don't change that. It doesn't drop one per party. It's just one per a year, one for your account every 25 seconds. That's it. So there are a fixed amount of tokens that you can earn based on time during the event. However, there is one way you can get extra tokens. That is through bounty contracts. Saving up bounty contracts until an event starts is one of my tips in my event planning guide, so that you can come in prepared for events. So I'll bring that up again here, because when you pop bounty contracts, they drop rewards based on time. So you can earn lots of extra tokens. We're going to see I have a lot of chests for Warduke, and it's because I opened a lot of bounty contracts and ran a lot of free plays to get gear. So saving up bounty contracts lets you get more of the event tokens. More event tokens lets you do more event runs. More event runs means you get more gear for your champions. It's a pretty straightforward math there. So let's dive in. So each champion basically kind of has their own event in a sense, but that sense is more that it's the event layout. So you can see the formation layout down here. Lucius is not the greatest. Yorvin's better. Get a nice 2-tank front line. Everything's kind of condensed in here, so you can get some good adjacencies. And then Warduke's. It looks like, is this a house? Oh, it's his helmet. It's supposed to be his helmet. I'm like, that's a house, right? Oh, that's nice. They put Warduke in a house. It's his helmet. But I like Warduke's. We'll hop into Warduke's in a bit. So each champion is going to have their own layout. But the enemies that you fight, the storyline, the bosses, they're all the same. They're all the same because it is one event. So all that you're changing by doing a different one is you're changing what reward you get, and you're changing the layout, the formation layout you have to deal with. So when you're looking to, when you start off, these are basic adventures and the reward is the champion. So you want to do all 3 of them. But as you're doing them, you want to kind of try to push deep. Even if you're newer, deep might just mean that you're pushing to like 60 or into the 60s, But for other people, push further because you want to treat the basic unlock adventures as favor pushes. So you want to get to a wall beyond the completion area, earn some favor, and then do that again with the next one and the next one. Because favor is how you're going to make the rest of the event easier. The goal you're shooting for in scientific notation is at least E08 favor. E10 makes everything real easy usually. So that's a nice little bonus push. But EO8, you should be able to complete things. It might just be a little challenging still. But EO8 will make all the variants show up as difficulty easy. Okay, once you've done these, each adventure, it's going to pop up all the variants. There's always 3 variants per champion, just like in campaign adventures. There's 3 variants max per adventure in a campaign. You won't always see that because some campaigns haven't fully fleshed out all their variants yet, but that's a time thing. Events always come with the 3. When you're doing favor pushes, you want to do that in the adventure or the free play. You do not want to try to push for favor in a variant. General rule, don't do it. General rule, don't do it. Variants come with restrictions, like right here, the free play, no restrictions. So you just go in, super easy breezy, push as far as you can based off your account power, and see what you get. But once we go in here, we'll see that there's restrictions. The restrictions can change the, what champions you're in the formation with or who you can use. So in this case, no rest for the gifted for Lucius. Only champions with a charisma score of 14 or higher can be used. So your roster is limited, and that can make things harder. Plus, quest goals are doubled. That means on every area, you're going to have to kill twice as many things, potentially. So this is kind of a good and a bad. Quest goals are doubled, I actually see as a positive thing. It means you're going to earn more gold per level, so you're going to be able to level up your champions more in regards to the area that you're on. And thus stay ahead of the leveling curve, and you should be able to easily push through this. The real restriction here is just charisma-based. You have to have high charisma champions. If you can't fill out your entire formation, making sure you have more favor before you get in this, not just making sure that this one shows as easy, but that this one does as well, we'll give that to you. Because these ratings are all fully based 100% on favor. Like I said, I try to do favor pushes until everything shows as easy, then I go back and I do all the variants, and then they're just a walk in the park. I did them all on Jujutsu yesterday, so... So this isn't too bad because you only have to get to Area 75, and it should be easy to pick up favor to be able to push through this restriction. Utterly deadly. So Lucius starts in the formation and cannot be moved. They show you this by this little white C here. I really wish they'd make this gold so it pops. This little white C, this is where Lucius is going to be. So he can't be moved. It doesn't say he can't be removed, but yeah, we'll say he can't be removed too. Anyway, they're trying to get you to use Lucius. Lucius is the only champion that can deal damage. Well, that's why it's where you're going to want to use him. All other champions have their DPS disabled, but their formation abilities are active. So all this is going to do so far, all we're hearing is Lucius is your DPS, and is the only person that's going to kill things. So... you can still use, so far, you can still use any other champions that you want, but your progress is going to be a little slower because the only one killing anything is going to be Lucius. Lucius attacks, that shouldn't have an apostrophe. Lucius attacks twice as fast as normal, and his ultimate cooldown is reduced to 30 seconds. Yeah, they just want you to clear this with Lucius. In each area, a cursed cow appears. If the cursed cow attacks a champion, that champion becomes cursed, disabling all of its upgrades until you change areas. Again, as long as you come in with this showing as difficulty easy, like the green color, you should mow right through this with just building a regular formation. Lucius's bedtime stories. Now you can see we have 3 red X's. This means they're blocking these slots off in the formation, in this case with NPCs. So we're going to be down 3 champions. That's a lot of power. So we are. Just based off this alone, you're gonna want to have more favor before you come into this one. So not the E08 that makes it green. You're gonna want to shoot for E10, E11. Now you might be able to do it at lower, but you might not. You're taking a chance. Only you know if your account is powerful enough to breeze through this, missing the 3 champions. That's a lot of power. So Nat, Jinx, and Squidly join the champions for the first Simril outside of Waterdeep. They each take up a slot in the formation. That's these red X's. Lesser gibbering mouthers appear in each area and move 100% faster, as nightmares do. They're just rushing your formation. That's not as big of a deal. The bigger deal here is that you're down 3 champions, so getting more favor is going to give you more power to get through Lucius's bedtime stories. On to Yorvin's variants. Raven Swarm. Yorvin starts in your formation. It can't be moved or removed, so he's right here in the second column. 3 ravens appear in each area. The ravens drop no gold, nor do they count towards quest progress. That's fine. Every 5 areas, an additional raven spawns in the swarm. So this is, at least they call it a swarm. This is a swarm, what I call a swarm variant, where they're just trying to overpower you with enemies. Fortunately, you only have to get to 75, so it's not that bad. There's no restriction here that's really going to make things problematic for you. When we talk about Yorvin, we'll talk about his specialties. You want the right-hand specialty for this. Yeah. In general. Fangclaw. In each boss area, a vicious rabbit boss enemy appears. Ooh, uh-oh. It must also be defeated in order to progress. Silly word. With multiple pronunciations. So it's just double bosses. That's not that big of a deal. Really. Gold find is reduced by 99%. Don't let that scare you. I get that can be a scary number when this game reduces things by 99%. We're in a game that deals with large numbers, like E40. Right? Gold find is a function of your favor. So reducing my gold find by 99%, it takes 116 E40 down into the E38s. Not as much as you thought, right? Because we're dealing with large numbers. That is 99%. So what you want to think of 99% as in this is an EO2 reduction. This is why we talk scientific notation terms instead of regular terms. Regular terms can be scary. Scientific notation, not a problem. So getting an extra EO2 favor, since this is Fangclaw, that means just making sure Raven Queen's memory shows as green. That's EO2 or more favor. Negates that gold fine reduction completely. Only champions with a dex of 14 or higher can be used. Here's the actual restriction. Here's the bad part. So you just have to make sure that you have dex 14 or higher champions. Again, we already want to get EO2 more gold fine just to deal with this, to negate this restriction. For this one, for the however many champions or formation layout slots that are empty, or that just kind of have a filler champion that isn't really helping in them, get an additional EO1 gold and it shouldn't be, or EO1 favor and it shouldn't be a problem. That's my general rule of thumb. Raven Queen's memories. Yorvin's Springpaw is haunted by his time in the Shadowfell. A wraith escorts the formation. That's the X right here, which is a problematic place to have an escort. It blocks off a lot of adjacencies, so just know that your formation potentially going to be a little weaker, depending on what champions you're using. The Wraith increases the base attack cooldown of each adjacent champion by 4 seconds. So if you have your DPS in the second column or the fourth column, they're going to be attacking really slow. If you have to do that because you're a newer player and you're running like Nayeli and Tyrell, so your DPS kind of has to be in the second column, you just kind of have to deal with it. And what that's going to mean is that you're going to have enemies building up on your tank line. So having a lot of favor, I'm coming back to the F word repeatedly, having a lot of favor is going to help, because favor means you can over level your champions relative to the area that you're on, so they have more health and can survive against the enemies. Otherwise, you want to try to build your party with your DPS all the way back here in the fifth column, or use a DPS that's a tank. It's really the only way around it, around the reduction. If Yorvin is in the formation, the increase is only 2 seconds. So even then, you could put Yorvin in as your DPS in the second column. You're still getting reduction. But enemies also move 200% faster, so they're just really piling on the fact that your tanks have to live through this. So this one's going to be tougher. This one's going to be tougher for newer players. But, people have been around and can get, E10 or more favor. Shouldn't be an issue. Shouldn't be an issue. All right, the newest variants coming in for Warduke, a figure of action. I see what they did there. Warduke joins the formation. He can't be moved or removed. Warduke's normal attack speed, a cooldown, is reduced by 1 second, so he's attacking faster. He's up here in the front, folks. Warduke is a tank, DPS. That's the C in the front. All other champions have their normal attack speed cooldown increased by 3 seconds. So again, this is just the game telling you, well, Warduke's who you want to kill things with. But it's not a big deal other than that. Warduke actually buffs himself based off how his attacks and taking damage, so they're just kind of showing that off, but at a low zone where you're not really going to notice, to be quite honest. So super easy. Super easy. Yield! Warduke joins the formation. He can't be moved or removed. Once again, in the tank slot, or the front column. Only evil champions, chaotic champions, or champions with the gold find role can be used. This is because his specialization is based off those champions. So they're trying to get you to build a formation that uses those champions to get those benefits. Strongheart spawns in each boss area, so we get an additional boss, and he must be defeated to progress. That's it. So you are going to be restricted a little bit on the champions that you can use. Again, if you find that you're having a problem with that, more favor. Note that these variants are more expensive. This one's 1,000 tokens. This one's 2,500. This one's 5,000 just to start, because that's what these tokens are for. They let you activate variants. The current year's champion is always full price. They discount the others, so it is good to know that you don't try to attempt these if they're not showing at least easy, because you might be wasting your tokens, and that's bad. So yeah, but know what you're getting into, folks. Finally, strike that, reverse it. Again, Warduke in the front. You may only use champions that have positional formation abilities. The game's gonna only let you put in champions that qualify, so that's at least a little better. Just know what they're trying to do is teach you which champions have positional formation abilities, or PFAs, as I like to shorten it. Because Warduke works off PFAs, much like Artemis, much like Archon, much like Valentine. It's all about those PFAs. So this is trying to let you know what champions, kind of in an easier way, what champions in your formation actually are in your bench are actually going to work with Warduke. So pay attention. Warduke can still be used even though he doesn't have positional formation abilities, because they put him in there for that. And that's it. So they're really just trying to get you to build a formation that's optimizing Warduke with those PFAs. That's everything, folks. That's the variants. You could find more tips on those in my guide to each of the champions. I'm not doing like an event guide per se anymore. I'm just making sure that each event champions guides are updated and posted on and available on the subreddit. You can find them there. Let's hop into Warduke's formation. We'll do a free play here. And throw our champions in. No, Deacon, you're not in this. Sorry, Deacon. All right, Lucius. Why can I never remember? Oh, Warduke's here. There we go. No, it's Warduke. It's not Lucius. Oh, there's Lucius. He looks like a bird at the moment. We can fix that. This is one of his skins, folks. He's got a few. Boom. There, that's better. Now he looks more like himself. There we go. And Yorvin 10. It's close. I don't memorize this stuff. This would have been bad if these had been the questions on the game show this week. Hey, so one interesting thing to note with this event. Getting ahead of myself. With this event is all the champions available in this event are DPS champions. Lucius is pure DPS. Warduke is DPS tank. Yorvin, DPS support. But in reality, pretty much their primary function is DPS. Let's go ahead and level some people up a little bit. And we will move ourselves forward. Let's get them all up to their spec choices. All right, let's start off with Yorvin. Jorvin's Spring Paw, everybody. Jorvin's a Harengon. Barbarian Druid is the class. Chaotic Neutral. And again, DPS support. Base attacks Ferocious Maul. They leap out at the nearest enemy, pinning it in place and attacking it once a second for 5 seconds. If they kill it instantly, they're done. They just hop back. They don't maul the dead body, just to be clear. But if they're not killing it, they jump out, they pin it to the ground, and then they just take all of these ferocious swipes once a second for 5 seconds. It's pretty neat. Pretty neat animation. We probably won't see it today. Fey Wild Shape. The Fey Wild Shape is the ultimate. They wild shape into a Shadow Mastiff-like creature for 30 seconds. During this time, their attack cooldown is reduced by 2.5 seconds, and their damage is increased by 400%. So their base attack cooldown is 5 seconds. So basically, they're attacking twice as fast, and their damage is getting a 5x modifier. So here's what it looks like. Jordan goes all Freaky Friday. They get all purpley and glowy and dark and shadowy, and yep. That's scary. Yeah. All right. First ability, Blood Fury Tattoo. Each time Jorvin attacks during Ferocious Maul, that's the base attack, the enemy gains a stack of Blood Fury. So this is a debuff. Each stack causes them to take 100% more damage from all sources. This is trying to be a support debuff. And it stacks multiplicatively. So if they live through all five attacks, they have a 100% times 5 multiplicative debuff, which no, I can't do that math in my head on stream. That's 3, 4, 5. That's 10 billion%. So 1e10. That's a 1e10 debuff. Yeah, that should be right. That's 100% multiplying against itself 5 times. This is why multiplicative debuffs are the good way. That's the good way. Whenever they stack multiplicatively, that's the good way. But the debuff only lasts for 2 seconds. So, not the greatest support debuff, just gonna say. This is really great for his own personal DPS. But a 2-second window, that's rough. That's rough, and it's only on a single target. So just know, not the greatest support ability. It can work if you get lucky. Not the greatest support ability, but good just for Jorvin's DPS. Jorvin is a great DPS. I had people ask me, what do you use Jorvin for anyway? DPS. He's in my own personal DPS tier list for my account, because tier lists are subjective to your situation. He's a tier 2 DPS. He's up there. He's real good. So yeah, it does good for his own DPS, not necessarily when he's trying to be a support. Infectious Fury. Enemies that Jorvin has attacked take a large % more damage from all champions when they're attacking the formation. So when Jorvin attacks, if he doesn't kill it as a support or even as a DPS, this works both ways. This is a support feature, but it supports Jorvin too. Once they make it all the way to the formation and are hitting the formation, they start taking more damage. So this isn't good for when you're pushing, like just running through early levels. It kicks in when you're not able to kill things right away. Danger Sense. This one creates some shenaniganry at times. Champions adjacent to Jorvin take 5 less damage from all attacks. And this number can change. And Jorvin gains a % damage boost for 10 seconds when this ability effectively lowers the damage of an enemy attack. This is telling you that in most situations, Jorvin wants to be right behind the tanks. Right behind either a single tank or a dual tank formation. So that when they get attacked, he gets a damage boost. However, this also works if you are going to be in a situation where your entire formation is taking damage. That's rarer in the game, but it does happen. In that case, Jorvin can be further back, but it's not a huge boost straight up, but extra damage is extra damage. You can get into some shenaniganry with things like Artemis. With this, where he multiplies Archon, they multiply this number, and suddenly they're not taking any damage. So shenaniganry with certain champions, but it's not meant to be like some major survival feature. It can get some other updates. Yeah, there's damage reduction bonuses over here in the feats. We'll talk about that when we get there. Okay, specializations. So Yorvin has 2 specializations. One is Hunger for Blood, the other is Eldritch Claw Tattoo. Straight up, except for earning Yorvin's achievement, you're going to want to run Eldritch Claw Tattoo. Hunger for Blood. If an enemy dies while Yorvin is attacking it with Ferocious Maul, Yorvin gains an additional attack and begins attacking another enemy. This reads like, hey, wave clear, but remember, Yorvin only gets like 5 attacks. So the only way this becomes wave clear is if you're killing things instantly. In which case, is that really wave clear? Like, you don't really need it if everything's dying right away? So this really only comes in handy for the achievement, which means we should talk about the achievement really quick. No. Dragon, stop being at the top. Dragon down. Yorvin's achievement, Feral Bunny. This is a great art. Have Yorvin Spring Pro attack and kill 20 enemies in one attack. So this means you need to use the left-hand specialization. You need to have 20 enemies or more on the screen, and Yorvin has to kill them instantly. Those 3 things don't go together in a normal situation. Which means you have to get to a point where Yorvin is the only champion in your formation killing things. There's a lot of ways to do that. I'm not going to get into all the different ways to do that. Yorvin is the only one killing things, and Yorvin is killing them instantly. When you get there, pull Yorvin out of your formation. Let enemies build up, because again, if Yorvin was the only one killing, then nothing's going to die. Count off your enemies. Once you count to 20 enemies, throw Yorvin in with that left specialization. Yorvin's going to hop out and maul, hop, maul, hop, maul, Paul Blart maul, hop. No, he's going to hop around and maul everything, and you'll get the achievement. Has to be the left specialization. Has to be killing instantly. Otherwise, you can run out of attacks. So I've heard people say, oh, I only get 2 or 3 attacks with your method. And it's, well, then you weren't using my method. Because you weren't killing things instantly. You were close. You let things build up, but if they're not dying instantly, then you weren't following my instructions. Don't know what to tell you. Okay. So, specializations. That's what the left specialization is for. And that's the only thing I've been able to tell that the left specialization is for. Otherwise, there's no use for the left specialization. Right spec. Each time Yorvin attacks during Ferocious Maul, Eldritch Energy shoots out and zaps a different enemy. AoE. AoE. This is the closest he gets to AoE. Dealing damage based on the amount of health Yorvin's target currently has, capped by Bud. So this sends out spikes, bursts of energy with every maul. Attack, like shot. Attack, another shot. Like just damaging stuff in an AoE. This is the wave clear. This is the actual wave clear. So that's the one you want to take. In almost every other case. Is that it for Yorvin? Yeah, he gets his spec and then he's done. All right. Item-wise, he gets... Again, he's built... He's in an odd place. He does great damage. Like I said, he's a good DPS. Tier 2 DPS for me. But he does that on the back of having a pair of damage all champions items, which is a support build. Man, if they'd given him just a straight up damage item for himself, he'd be doing even better. But yeah, pair of damage all champions items. We get Blood Fury Tattoo item. We get Infectious Fury, and we get Danger Sense. This is the damage boost off Danger Sense, not the damage reduction. So lots of boosts to damage. And then it reduced the cooldown of his ultimate attack, which is great because his ultimate attack is basically I want to do a button that's like I want to do more damage and kill things quicker. So his ultimate is great for using against like armored bosses because it does more damage but also attacks twice as fast. So removing chunks twice as fast. Feats, we get damage all champions. We get self damage, which is nice. We get Blood Fury Tattoo, we get Infectious Fury, but then we get a pair that are related to Danger Sense. One reduces or increases the damage reduction of Danger Sense, which again starts off small, isn't a big deal, but this is going to make it a little bigger. And then this is a damage boost for Danger Sense. So if you're all in on that, now we do get another. I've reported this. We do get another damage boost of Danger Sense, but it's smaller, and yet it's purple. Whatever. We get more Blood Fury Tattoo, more Infectious Fury. I don't even own all the big feats for Yorvin. He's still a big performer for me. Then there's an actor feat, which is Charisma. This allows Yorvin to qualify for Zariel Patron stuff. So Patron Zariel qualifications for Yorvin. That's Yorvin. In a nutshell. No, this is Yorvin in a nutshell. No, that's Yorvin. Yorvin has some interesting skins. Yeah. I stick with the OG Murder Bunny. On to Lucius. Lucius comes to us from the Heroes of Aroa. Oh, Yorvin is a C&E original champion, by the way. Lucius comes to us from the Heroes of Aroas. High Elf, Sorcerer, Lawful Neutral. Base attack changes. It alternates between two things. So Ray of Frost and Acid Splash. Ray of Frost attacks the furthest enemy. Acid Splash attacks a random enemy for reasons. Ray of Frost reason is it does damage to all enemies in a line. So it wants to hit the thing in the back because it's going to damage everything in between. Acid Splash is basically it's an Acid Splash. Oh, Lucius, bring me back the thing and attack so I can tell everybody what Acid Splash does, because I don't remember off the top of my head. Come on. There we go. It prefers to attack enemies not already affected by the acid. That's because these attacks are going to have effects that work with the rest of his kit. So him cycling these attacks is going to trigger everything else that's going on. So just understand that. So spreading these different things around, like spreading Acid Splash around to lots of targets is good. And then having the Ray of Frost go through things is good. You want to trigger both. Arcane Chromat Acid. So enemies damaged by Acid Splash gain 1 stack of acid. Each enemy can have up to 10 stacks. Acid stacks last until the enemy is defeated. So enemies affected by acid take 400% more damage per stack, and this stacks multiplicatively again. Folks, this is a big number if you can get to 10. So, as you can see, Lucius 4.5 attack speed cooldown. If you can do stuff that makes him attack faster and spreads this faster, you're getting lots and lots of damage. Otherwise, you just gotta wait to get 10 stacks on places, but lots of stacks, real good. Real good. This was a good... Lucius was changed recently. This was a real good change. So, armored enemies affected by at least 1 stack of acid lose twice as many armored hit points. So, Lucius, good for armored bosses. Because he gets double credit as long as they've been hit by acid. And they will get hit by acid at some point. So, Arcane Chromat Cold. So, this affects the cold part. Enemies damaged by the Ray of Frost are slowed by 50% for 10 seconds and take 400% more damage from Ray of Frost for each slow, stun, or root affecting them, each stacking multiplicatively. This is a call out telling you he's providing a slow. You want to try to have, he's providing 1 slow. You want to try to have a formation that is supporting him that has slows, stuns, and roots in it. Because it's 400% for each one. So it's yet another multiplicatively stacking situation for him. So keep that in mind. When you're like, there are certain champions that get things like Sentry. Sentry is part of the Heroes of Aroas. She has a specialization that has one of these crowd control effects. I choose that when I'm running her with Lucius because, yeah, give me more multiplicative stacking. Okay, so if an enemy is affected by Ray of Frost again before the slow debuff expires, the cooldown is renewed. So it pretty much stays on all the time at a certain point. Elemental Adept. When an enemy is affected by both Arcane Chromat abilities, so they've been hit by the acid and they've been hit by the frost, they're stunned and frozen in place. Remember, the stun is on his list for more damage, so that he triggers a stun as well, too. They stay in place for 3 seconds. Afterwards, they explode, applying 1 stack of Arcane Chromat Acid and dealing acid damage to themselves and all nearby enemies. So they make sure that they keep the acid stack on, and they do damage, but they also spread it to everybody else. So this is this way that Lucius can AoE spread his acid. This removes the Arcane Chromat Cold debuff, which is fine, because once he does his Ray of Frost, it's going to go through all of them again anyway, because it's a line-based AoE. The explosive damage is equal to 10% of Lucius's normal attack damage times the total Aerois synergy stacks. So this damage, it seems like 10%, but times total Aerois synergy stacks. Well, his Aerois synergy stacks can get to be a big number, so this can be a nice thing. It gets bigger. The more this is kind of the center part of the synergy effect between him and the rest of his team. Affiliation, the Heroes of Aerois. If you're running that full group, this number gets wild compared to just running him on its own. Obviously, he's going to build those up on his own. What's he got right now? None. We have to get somewhere where he's actually building synergy stacks. But he can build, once he gets there, he can build some up on his own. No, great card. Here we go. Lucius contributes 2 stacks to Aerois synergy every time Elemental Adept is triggered. So I can't create them until we get to a point where I stop killing things instantly and start building up stacks. So his max is a little over 200, which times 10% is 2,000% extra damage. So he does it's a nice damage bonus for himself, but it can get a lot bigger with more members of the Heroes of Aerois. Bosses contribute an additional 8 stacks. The maximum number of stacks is 200 plus the highest area completed in the current run divided by 5. Meaning this ability gets more powerful the further you go. This rework of Heroes of Aerois was the first time we really... I mean, we'd seen it a little bit in Ramping Champions, but this is really like, hey, it's going to be strong, but then we continue to scale it as you can push further. So that's nice. 50% of its contributed stacks are removed when changing areas. Lucius's damage is increased by 50% times the total number of Aerois synergy stacks. So that's nice, right? I mean, he's buffing himself just off his own stacks. So the more stacks, the better. And that means running Lucius with his affiliation leads to a stronger Lucius in terms of those abilities. But yeah, specialization choices. He gives himself some options. So Dichromancy, increase the explode damage of Elemental Adept by 200%. So if you just really want that burst, if you're doing fine, I feel like this is like if you're doing fine pushing and you just want some AoE for wave clear, but you're not necessarily trying to do the deepest push imaginable, you're just trying to complete a variant or whatever, Dichromancy is an option. Elemental Master is another option, increases the effect of Aerois synergy on Lucius's damage by 100%. So just straight up giving him more damage at that later part of a run. Lingering Chill, though, is the one that I use personally for deep pushes because it gives another multiplicative stack to him. So when an enemy explodes and loses their Arcane Chromat Cold debuff, they gain a Lingering Chill debuff, which slows them by 25% and lasts for 20 seconds. This is a way he can give himself another multiplicative stack for slows, so that he can add more of those multiplicative bonuses, because the more you have, the bigger your damage. So this one to me is the bigger bonus because we're getting another 400% multiplicative bonus added into the line, which if he was sitting at just 400% to start, this would take him, it isn't a 400% damage, it takes him from doing 400% more damage to doing 160,000% more damage. So adding this multiplier, Lingering Chill, really kind of OP for deep pushes, in my opinion. It's the one you should go for. If it's applied again before it expires, the cooldowns refresh, and it stacks with Arcane Chromat Cold. So, super great. Use it. Right spec. So far, Yorvin and Lucius both are right spec, please. Yes, I want right spec to do the most. To do the most damage. Prismatic Spray is his ultimate. That's what unlocked later. It's the Disco Ball. 8 multicolored rays flash from Lucius' hand in a cone shape. Each enemy in the cone takes damage and receives both the Arcane Chromat Acid and Arcane Chromat Cold. So it's a way to spread more of his stacks of things because it hits a lot of stuff. So there's the cold. We're going to see an acid splash next. That's what the acid looks like. I want to get a couple of things out here. Boom. Boom. That's what it looks like. So it's just, he's going to back up. He's going to pick that enemy, and then it's going to do that spray out in a cone to everything. And you can end up hitting literally everything on the screen that way. And putting his stacks on all this stuff. And because it's applying them both, that means they're going to be stunned, and then they'll explode, and then that stacks up poison, or acid, excuse me. So it's good all around. Good stuff all around. Item-wise, we get a pair of self-damage, because he is just pure DPS. He is not a support champion. We get Arcane Chromat Acid. We get Arcane Chromat Cold. Then we get an item that buffs his Erois Synergy. This is fantastic. So because that's such a key to his damage, it's nice that they put in this item to boost it, instead of giving us, like, ultimate damage, because his ultimate doesn't do damage. It just applies stuff. Then we get ultimate cooldown, so we can apply those stacks faster. Feat-wise, self-damage. You can make the stun that applies when he lands both things 5 seconds long, if that's your thing. It's not my thing, but it might be your thing. I can see why you do it. It keeps those multiplicative stacks on there longer. Yeah, could be real cool. Pun intended. We get Acid Chromat. We get Arcane Chromat Acid. We get Arcane Chromat Cold. We get Erois Synergy feats. We also get a pair of stat feats. So, durable is Constitution. Constitution is going to allow him... Oh, yeah, I already have it assigned. It's going to allow him to... I was like, why? No, I'm already at the number. It's because I have it equipped. It's going to allow him to qualify for Vajra stuff. Intelligence is going to allow him to qualify for Strahd. So these are feats that allow him to participate in patron content, folks. Patron content. That's Lucius. His achievement is like Yorvin's. You're building up... Oh, no. His achievement is Elemental Pop. Have 10,000 enemies explode due to Lucius' elemental depth ability. This is really just, you have to do a deep push with with Lucius repeatedly, so that you're blowing up lots of things. It's just going to happen on its own. You could technically go to a level where you're able to tank infinitely but not kill anything, and then just have him blow stuff up over and over again with it like Whittle for speed boost. I mean, you could do that if you wanted to farm it, but really just go use Lucius. It's that easy. All right. Warduke. As you can see, I have no equipment for Warduke. We're going to gear up Warduke on stream. We're going to talk about what I consider and what, I mean, mathematically is objectively the most efficient way to get yourself to blues quickly. We'll talk about opening chests here in a bit. Warduke, human fighter, chaotic evil. Warduke is old school D&D. Warduke is old school D&D. Warduke arrived in the 80s as an action figure, as part of their action figure series, and there was an adventure module that was released that was basically maybe not the greatest adventure module is what I hear. It was kind of a marketing promo, so not unlike nerds today. Yeah, so he arrived in an adventure module in the 80s and as a D&D action figure and made appearances and things, but yeah, Warduke is a bit of the old school, and they brought him back because people like Warduke. As an action figure skin that's available right now, skin pack. And the action figure skin packs, like the legs are locked like actual action figures. I think it's great. I think it's great. If that's not a look for you, then stick with the base Warduke. I look forward to the Warduck polymorphed version. That's just me with wishful thinking. Base attack is Nightwind. This is a reference to the sword. Warduke moves up to the closest enemy and swings his sword, dealing one hit to all nearby enemies with a melee attack. I'm still assuming... It's not what it says, but I'm assuming he hits the enemy he walks up to as well. That's not what the text says. But I think it's a safe assumption that he hits the closest enemy and all nearby enemies, because otherwise... That's real odd. That's real odd. Ultimate is Flame-Tongued Sword. We're going to light that up. Warduke's Sword Nightwind ignites in flames for 30 seconds. For the duration, Warduke deals an additional 1,000% damage. So this is the high I want to do damage button. With normal attacks, Andy takes half damage from all sources. So it's also the hey, I want to be survivable button. If Warduke activates his ultimate again before its effect expires, the duration is refreshed. That means if you can get his cooldown reduction under 30 seconds, you can keep that going all the time, which is what you want. I mean, that's ideally what you want. Let's get rid of Guinevere. All right. Oh my god, that'd be great if he actually just hit everyone else other than who he walks up to. Yeah, it's like, hi, hug, whack, everyone else, bye. Back to the formation. Oh my god. That's the way it reads, and now I want a champion that does that. God. Okay. On the lawn, I'm understanding that it's supposed to, what they're trying to say is nearby to him, but that's not the way it reads. The sentence does not read that way. That's why I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt, and that it's going to hit the closest target and all nearby enemies, but that's not what it says. All right, let's talk about Warduke being a trained killer who gives hugs. Each time Warduke attacks or is damaged, this is important because he is a tank, so when he's attacking or when he's being attacked, he gains a remorseless stack. Warduke increases his damage by 200% for each stack he has, stacking additively, but stacks reset when you move to a new area. This means he has an infinite stacking ability as long as you're on one level and don't die. And can't kill whatever you're fighting, right? Like, he has this weird ability where he's just I like it. I'm here for it. As long as you can live, he's just getting angrier and angrier and angrier, and doing more and more damage. I think it's great. But yeah, has potential to be, I don't know, man, if you can, yeah, it has potential to be interesting. We'll see what happens. Well, there's stuff coming down the pipeline that could make that interesting. All right, Bodyguard for the highest bidder. Increases the health of all champions by 25% of Warduke's max health. This is the regular, this is kind of the regular health share for tanks. Yeah. All right. This is Ultimate Chaotic Inversion. This is chaos. Most positional formation abilities targets are inverted. This isn't for him. This is for everyone in the formation. This is gonna work the same for every champion in the sense that if they have a positional formation ability, they're going to invert how they target their positions. But that means it changes how every other champion in the game with positional formation abilities works. Warduke effectively creates an entirely different game than the one you're playing when he's not in your formation. Champions function differently. It's a little wild. I am not going to cover every single scenario of this on this stream. We don't have that kind of time. But I am going to touch on some things and just know that yeah, PFAs, things are going to get wonky. He's creating a whole different puzzle for you to play. I'm here for it. I'm totally here for it. Someone's going to find a way to break the game with it. And I can't wait. I can't wait. Oh, thank you, Mars. I was going to say, Mars has a mnemonic device for this. And I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, it's Shin Rebuke the Crew. Mars, did I hear that right? Shin Rebuke the Crew. And that means Shin State, Dragonbait Shin State isn't inverted. Farida's Hellish Rebuke isn't inverted, and Nova's The Crew isn't refuted. So Shin rebukes the crew. There's your mnemonic device to remember. Those won't work. But the nice thing is when you go over to outgoing effects for a champion, it will tell you if it's inverted or not. So that's another way to know. But Shin rebukes the crew. All right. Drawn to Power. So that was Chaotic Inversion. It's a very short line, very short sentence that does a lot of work in the game. Drawn to Power, Warduke's damage is increased by 100% for each positional formation ability affecting him, stacking multiplicatively. Buffs apply to the pre-stack multiplier. What are they thinking? So, PFAs make Warduke OP. That's all you got to know. You want to hit him with as many PFAs as possible because each one adds EO2 to his bonus. This gets wild. This gets wild. And when there's buffs for that, like with items or feats, it goes to the pre-stack multiplier, which is these numbers. Warduke what? Warduke what? So if you're able to read chat right now, you'll see that the name Valentine is coming up. Yes. Warduke and Valentine, kind of. Yes. Plus all the other positional formation ability people. It's PFAs, Jexander, PFAs, positional formation abilities, because I don't want to say that whole thing over and over. PFAs. So Chaotic Inversion changes how PFAs work. Drawn to Power means the more you get on him, the more of those you get on him, the better. That's why he has one of these things like Walnut does, or Valentine does. God, I can't get names right this week. To tell you how many positional formation abilities are affecting him. You want that number up there. All right. Specialization choices. I think we're up to specializations, right? Yeah. Specialization choices. Chaos Reigns, Mercenary for Hire, League of Malevolence. This is basically you're getting bonuses based off the number of champions that match these situations. They do give you the cheat sheet numbers at the bottom. Not in the best ways, folks. When it says champions of formation targeted and in a number, you're not necessarily... Here's what I don't like. People keep asking for these on all kinds of champions, and this isn't always what we want to see. What we actually need to see here isn't the number. What we actually need to see here is the damage bonus. Okay? Because just seeing a bigger number doesn't mean we're getting the bigger bonus, because Chaos Reigns is 100% per chaotic champion. 2 of them, and it stacks multiplicatively. 2 of them isn't that big of a deal. I mean, it's nice, but as long as these other numbers aren't 1, they're going to be better than the 2 here. Like if it was equal, then you'd want the higher ones. So look at the numbers, because this is 100% for chaotic champions. This is 300% for gold find champions. This is 500% for evil champions. There are not equal numbers of these things in the game. That's why the numbers are lower. There's tons of chaotic champions, so they gave it a lower multiplier. It's easy to get larger numbers of. But you're going to have to do the math and figure out, potentially, I mean, it should be just the straight up. It should be this most of the time. It's going to be the higher number, but if it's close, it might be one of these others. It might be. Yeah. If it's significantly larger, like if it's 5 and it's 2, five's gonna be better. But yeah, this isn't necessarily something you. This isn't necessarily something you build around, but it might be if you have options. Like if you have 2 options that are giving you equal buffs, but one qualifies for a bigger number of these and helps you choose one of these, you're gonna want to go with it. Obviously, having more evil people in the formation is really the goal, but there aren't a lot of them in the game, so you might not make it there, right? I'm just gonna go with Chaos Reigns at the moment just to pick one because it doesn't really matter. But remember, they're always adding champions to the game, but players on streams, which are most of the champions that get out of this game, don't play evil champions. Let's be honest. They just don't. They play chaotic ones, so. That's everything. That's everything. Let's talk about feats, and then we're going to gear up Warduke, and then we'll talk about his items. So, feat-wise, we get health bonuses, we get self-damage bonuses, and we get overwhelm bonuses. Because remember, DPS, tank, right? We get a trained killer bonus. We get a drawn to power bonus. This one's interesting. They actually give us a bonus to those specializations. So you can buff, if you have a lot of one of them, it may make a lot more sense with that multiplicative bonus to come over here. Who knows? It's 40%. It's probably the same, but anyway. And then we get to Charisma +2. This, again, this is a Zariel thing. Charisma is always a Zariel thing. Charisma is always a Zariel thing. Okay. Let us talk about gearing up a champion. So my Warduke has 0 gear right now. So if you start your event, you have, you pick up all 3 champions. They have no gear. The first thing you want to do, if you have a fat stack of them, like I don't have that much. This should be over 100. I missed a bunch. Electrum chests. Electrum chests are given out on streams like this. In fact, I should put in the code. I will copy paste this from chat. Boom. This is how you get Electrum chests. There's also a combinations channel in the Discord. You can get them from there, right? Well, these give you these. Come over here. Come over here. I want it here. Okay, these give you Electrum chests. Electrum chests drop gear for every champion that you own. Only white through blue gear. Here's the thing. They will somewhat target champions that don't have gear to start. So we want to increase, by using Electrums first, we're increasing the chance that opening these really, really easy to get chests, it will target these new champions, these new event champions first. So I save up my Electrums in between events because I have no reason to open them outside of events because my gear on all my champions is green or better. That's the rule. If your gear on all your champions isn't green or better, open Electrums as you get them. Once it is, hold them for events. That's my tip to you. So when I pop these, we're going to see I'm going to get a lot of Warduke gear. It's not the only gear I'll get. There, see, I just got at least 6 pieces. As you can see, I got a bunch of blues for Warduke because they can drop up through blue. I just got almost full blue. That's real lucky. That's real lucky. It helps that Warduke was the only new champion I was gearing. Otherwise, everything would have been spread out amongst all 3 event champions, but that's still kind of the goal you're looking for. You want to open Electrums first, then named silvers for the champions, because that's going to be the most efficient way to get you to full blue. I got to full blue just on Electrums. That was real good luck. Honestly, that was good luck for me. Oh no, where did I go? So many champions in the game now. Where's he at? Where's he at? There he is. Okay. Oh wow, I did real good. I'm only missing 1 item. Yeah. So you want to do that first. Then you want to come to your named silvers. and then open those. The idea here is between electrums and the silvers. Silvers also drop white through blue. You're going to have the best chance to get to full green. Full green. I did get to full blue. I said that's not going to be for everybody. Blue is the overall goal of this method. But getting to full green is the goal with the electrums and silvers, because what that does is it lets you get the most efficient upgrades out of the gold chests that you get. Gold chests will guarantee you an upgrade to either green or blue with every chest. We don't want that upgrade to be green out of a gold. Why waste that guaranteed upgrade from a gold when you can get greens out of electrums and the named silvers? So we want to get at least 2 greens, then start opening gold chests. Because then every guaranteed upgrade is going to be a blue or a purple. Right? So I'm going to open the rest of these. If you're wondering, I have lots of these chests because, again, as I said at the top, I opened tons of bounty contracts. I had EO5 tokens, like 3 EO5 tokens on day 1 from all of my bounty contracts. That lets me run free plays over and over and over with my Modron core, automating it, just going to 50. So all you got to do is set the automation to 50. It completes 50. It resets. It gives me a chest. It gives me a random chest, either silver or gold. It's a 1 in 3 chance that you'll get a gold, but the free plays themselves have a pity timer. So if you didn't get a gold chest in the first 3 free plays for the champion, you will get a gold chest on the 4th free play. So free plays max out at 2,500 tokens. That means for 10,000 tokens, you will get at least 1 gold chest and 3 silvers, but you could get up to 4 golds. That's why this is better. Running free plays is better than coming over here to the shop and spending 10,000 candles on a single gold Warduke chest. This only exists for the last day of the event when you have more tokens than time. That's it. Don't use it for any other reason, please. It's just a waste. It's a waste. So I'm going to open these up. And now that I have good gear on Warduke, what I'm getting here are duplicates. Duplicates give me higher item levels. Higher item levels mean I have more power on my Warduke. I want Warduke to have a lot of power. And then when it comes to gold, golds, like I said, the goal here with this order of operations of opening chests for events is to get to full blue as quick as possible. I did that because there's no way to get yourself purple's epic gear faster. It's just RNG. It's pure RNG. There is a pity timer associated with it so the only way to guarantee yourself all 6 epics in an event is to get 54 54 gold chests for that champion. Why 54? The pity timer when you get when you encounter a gold chest for the first time in Idle Champions, the pity timer, which means the amount of chests you have to open to get a guaranteed gold, is 4, or a guaranteed epic is 4. It shows that's the purple bar down here, and it shows it in purple text. After that, it goes to 10. So that means our first epic we'll get with 4 out of 4 chests at our worst luck. And then the other 5 we'll get out of 50 chests at the worst luck. Now, I'm assuming my luck is going to be good enough, knock on wood, that I will just get all 6 epics out of 53 chests. But, this could be my bad luck day. This could be my bad luck day. It's not. There's all the epics. So I have full epics now on my Warduke. And every other chest I get for the rest of the event, because I'm going to keep running Warduke stuff, is basically going to get me more power on my Warduke. Based off more average item levels. I'm already at average item level 130. 130. So by the end of the event, I'll probably be in the 140s, maybe 150s, probably in the 140s. That gives me a very strong Warduke to work with. All of the champions that I own are currently minimum 100 average item level 140. So that means that I can go out and I can use my champions and be very strong with my champions right away. But that is an in-game goal to get to. That is an in-game goal to get to. In your first event, you should end up with at least one epic on each champion, and hopefully the rest of the items are blue. That's my goal for you. That's why I try to teach people to open Electrums first, then name silvers, and then the golds, because that should result in you having blues across the board and at least one epic on your champion. That is a functional champion outside of an event. So I hope that's what you end up with. If not on this event, then use that method going forward to try to help you get there. All right. We're going to take a short break. We're a little over the hour, but we're gonna take a short break. I'm glad Mars liked my Paul Blart Mall Hop joke. We don't have a lot of questions in the document, folks, so hit me up with those questions in chat. Remember, if you didn't put question : in front of it, Mars didn't grab it because he didn't know it was for me. So put your questions with question : in the front. We'll come back after this break. What are we listening to? It should be Ode to Warduke. Enjoy.
By his name, only by his sword of fame. Red eyes glowing in the dark. No, he'll never miss his mark. Winged helm of darkness blazing in the night. Nightmares sleep beneath him, yearning for a fight. It's Warduke, watch out, he's coming for you. It's Warduke, no doubt he'll split you in two. It's Warduke, you fool, they paid him with gold. It's Warduke, so cruel, your life has been sold. Warduke, Warduke. Who never seen his face? They just find the mess he makes. Once the friend who both strong heart, his evil ways tore them apart. Heartstone made him evil, now he shuns the light. Once he was a hero, now he lives to fight. It's Warduke, watch out, he's coming for you. It's Warduke, no doubt he'll split you in two. It's Warduke, you
Hey, I'm back. Sort of. All right. I'm going to dive into all 7 questions in my queue. Folks, if you have questions. We got like 40 minutes. We got like 40 minutes. And one of these isn't a real question. So yeah. Tim knows. Where is the Duke of War? He's right here in the front row. That's the question that wasn't really a question, but still. Hi, Tim knows. Let's see what else we have that's coming in. I guess we could talk more about Warduke and his positional abilities. I should show that off a bit. And I think this question is gonna lead us there. Jacques of Hearts. Do you think there should be a clear distinction between a positional formation ability and an ability buffed by formation position, like input versus output? I'm going to simplify this. I think that there should be a here. We're gonna use a tutorial dwarf as our example here. I think there should be a straight up icon that tells you something is a positional formation ability. So when I come over here and we can see this is telling us that Rally has been inverted by Warduke, which is telling us this is a positional formation ability, and that none of these others are. But what should really tell us is the icon here. Instead of this being a chevron, a little green chevron that looks just like this green chevron, it should be its own icon that tells people that this is a positional formation ability. You should be able to look just over here, like if when you're upgrading, potentially give it another thing here, but specifically here on outgoing effects. Hey, give it something that tells us this is the icon for positional formation abilities. And then we'll know, we'll know what positional formation abilities exist on a champion, but B, we'll know if something's not working right or not, and can properly report bugs. It's help us help you, CNE. So it is my hope that one day we'll have an icon here that's different. So yeah, so here's how Bruenor normally, here's Bruenor normally. Bruenor normally, that's his last name. No, that's not. It's his middle name, actually. Bruenor normally with Rally increases damage of champions in the same column as he is. So if we go over to Lucius, we will see that we have Rally from Bruenor, right? But once we drop Warduke in, now it still says the same thing. Increases damage of champions in the same column as Bruenor. But that's not what it does now. Now it's inverted. This ability targets the opposite slots. So now it buffs champions not in the same column as Bruenor. So if we look at Lucius is no longer getting Rally. You'll note. No Rally. But Warduke is in front. Is. And Yorvin, who's all the way in the back, is. Because now Bruenor buffs every other column. So here's what's great about, you could put, if we could put Bruenor all the way back here in his own column, and now he buffs every other column with Rally. Bruenor just became a huge buffer. Bruenor just became huge. Bruenor now buffs everyone else. So the potential for what Warduke can do with buffers who may have been limited in their scope is incredible. Incredible, because a lot of times in this game, one of the ways that I've seen them kind of balance an ability is based on its limited effect range, right? So a lot of times you'll get a really strong ability, but it's only to someone adjacent, or only in the column in front, or only in the same column, whereas abilities that affect everything are a lot weaker. Warduke changes all of that. This is why I said Warduke could potentially break a lot of stuff in this game. CNE's kind of okay with it. They know they knew what they were doing. I'm here for it too. I'm looking forward over the next few months to see what people come up with, because there are people taking stabs and coming up with really good ideas right now, but it can take a little while for something like this to sink in and really people to really break stuff. People to really break stuff. So just know that that's kind of what you're looking for. You're looking for these kind of inverted comments. It's not going to change like something like it'll change vampiric gaze, so it's normally it charms those adjacent to her. Now it's going to charm everybody who's not adjacent to her, which again, man, that's even stronger. That's even stronger. But it's not going to change like other effects, right? Because these are already melding into this stuff. It's not going to affect like mind and body. It's not a positional. This is based off stats. But it is going to affect anything that says that gave a direction. So adjacent, same column in front, column behind, within 2 slots. Like these are the things that for the most part are going to be affected by Warduke now. It's just going to get wild. So we at least have that notification to tell us that it's inverted, so we know that it's something that works with Warduke, which wasn't always the case. It was a lot harder to tell with Artemis. They added stuff in with Artemis and Archon later, but this came out of the gate with it, so that's nice. Blade 1981. How do you get enough gold chests for the new champion and event? I think you talked about how to do this in a previous stream, but I forgot. Again, it's bounty contracts. It's opening bounty contracts, and I have a few here. Because I burned all of them. These are the ones that I've accrued since I used all that since the event started. So again, these are time-based rewards, and so are event tokens. So they drop more event tokens. So having lots and lots and lots of these is what gets me there. I open this, so I feed myself roughly the same number of gold chests every event. So like I don't have a lot at the moment, but what I will do is I will come over to the shop and I will buy bulk gold chests. I will run the slider over and I will buy bulk gold chests over and over, and I will get myself 1,500 gold chests. This is an in-game thing. And then I will open up 1,500 gold chests, and that will refill my bounty contracts. Though that's enough to get me full epic on a new event champion. When I started, it was like 500. And then I started earning more gems, and then it was 700, and then it was 1,000, and now I'm up to 1,500, and I haven't bothered raising it because, well, you saw what my Warduke looked like, and we're only 3 days in. So that's what I do. That's what I do with my gems. I spend them on gold chests. I open those gold chests. I get bounty contracts during events. I profit. Max the Cubert, is there a good reason to use Yorvin? Yeah, he's a solid DPS. People keep asking this. He's a tier 2 DPS for me. He delivers. He delivers because he's got that multiplicative bonus. He's just not I don't know that he's a tier 2 support. He's a tier 2 DPS though, for me. You should all, if you want to know what your own personal tier list is, push as deep as you can, start swapping in champions, build formations that give them the best abilities, and then make a spreadsheet, figure out what your own tier list is. It takes a lot of work. I did it on my stream once. I probably should do that again later this month now. I'll have to add Warduke to that, so I'll have to do it again. And it's a good chance now. I don't use Valentine enough. It's a good chance to really try to see where Valentine fits into my stronger formations. And if she brings up some champions that weren't as strong before. But every time you have a new champions come into the game, you got to figure out, does this change up who's strong and who isn't in my group of champions? Because really, this game's not about finding the one best champion and then doing all the content with it, because it doesn't work because restrictions. It's about finding groups of champions that you know when you get into certain restrictions, if they show up, they can perform for you and they can help you complete patron content, or trials content, whatever. TS Forest, I grabbed your question out of chat. When opening a chest, do you know if it selects champions first, then picks an item and rarity? Does it pick a rarity, then pick a champion, then pick the item, or some other selection order? I don't know the exact situation. That's why I don't tell you exactly what happens when I'm trying to describe it. What I know is it seems to look for upgrades. Like it wants to, if it drops an item, it looks to see if it can give an upgrade first. And an upgrade is it like if you have no gear, going from no gear to something in a slot is considered an upgrade. So it does look to try to go from a no gear to something kind of gear as a priority, which is why you will see it pull in, which is why I do it with event champions. It will kind of funnel in and drop stuff in for that. And then it'll start bouncing between champions because it's trying, but it'll still, if it triggers an upgrade, it's still going to try to upgrade to a champion that needs an upgrade. But if you don't have, blue or better or green or better gear on all of your champions, you'll see it spread out more until you do. The good news is you get so many of those electrums every week that you should get to green gear real quick across your champions. Because you should be opening lots of silver chests as a brand new player. That should get your core and evergreens up to green real fast. Electrums will then just focus all of your event champions, right? Somebody out there knows it's a good Dev Insights question to have them explain it in full. But functionally, just know that it's going to kind of magnet in on newer champions first. And then as it's kind of like it's like a pull, right? And then it just kind of does this, and then it starts spreading out more evenly, and that's why you do it first. Because if you did the silvers first, then it's coming in on an even playing field, and it's not going to put any item levels there either. And you want that power, so yeah, it just works better all around. Works better all around. Jacques of Hearts, which champions give multiple PFAs to Warduke Valentine? Oh, I don't know that list. There's people out there with that list. You're looking at, like, for the people that run Artemis formations are probably going to pick up Warduke a lot faster than others because they're already used to piling lots of positional formation abilities onto a single champion or spreading them around a group. So yeah, I don't have that list. And people were like, "Oh, you should put a chart." And it's like, I've tried to put charts in my guides before, and then people don't really like it. I don't know. Like, it just for the amount of work, the people don't seem to care. So I don't put those kinds of charts in my guides anymore. But yeah, because in a lot of cases, it's not necessarily always about who gives the most PFAs. It also has to be a strong buff too. You have to find this balance between the two. And charts don't really tell you that. Charts don't really tell you that. Dr. Device, can you show an example of Warduke's PFA altering ability? Oh, I think we just did. We could do it again. Hey, we can show you a bad example. This is probably good. Let's show a bad example. Let's show what champions you wouldn't want to use with Warduke. Turiel. So Turiel, normally, if we take Warduke out, Turiel is a great, what we call like an anti-tank or a nega-tank or a Jedi mind tank. Turiel doesn't tank from the front line if it's a single column because he's not a tank. But if it's a multi, like if this was a 3-tank front line, what would happen is enemies would come up and then he would Jedi mind trick them off and push them onto the other tanks. This is how he kind of functions. Mars calls it a reverse taunt. This is how he functions and also how he buffs. So it's orders demand, and he buffs based off the number of enemies that he has shifted off of him in that way, right? Well, Turiel also buffs all columns behind them. So this is great when he's in the front column with other tanks, and he's hand-waving off people. He gives really big buffs, and if they're fiends, it's even better. But then his last ability is just all champions based off his attacks, right? Well, when you put Warduke in, Now Turiel buffs all columns in front of them. Which, yes, there is a, that's a small buff for that, sure. But it gets bigger as we move back in the formation. So now you're encouraged to put the tank, like your Warduke, up here, and Turiel all the way in the back to get the max bonus for the number of columns, because this is multiplicative stacking based off the columns back. But then Order's Demand never works, so you never get the buff for hand waving people off, because he literally can't do that. So you're missing an entire buff. Now it may be that it's fine. It may be that you're okay with just getting the base buff. Embodiment of the Law, we get EO4. That's not that big. But if you're happy with EO4, and that's the best buffer you can get in your situation, I don't think it would be, but if it is, okay. While also giving him a single PFA, maybe that's the best situation for you. But generally speaking, probably not. Oh, that should have been up here. Yeah, it's still EO4. Wait, no, wrong place. Incoming, EO5. EO5 for 4 back. Turiel, not that great, because some of his abilities don't function with being in the back. And that's the same Briv. It's the same with Briv. Briv needs to be in the front, and Briv buffs people behind him. So Briv and Warduke don't really work. Don't really work together. So it's really, Warduke's really going to flip around kind of some of the perceived meta to try to create a really strong system for that works for Warduke. Bishop, Bishop McHugh, how does Chaotic Inversion impact Archon's Usurp? Let's go take a look. So Usurp, I don't know. So Usurp power is a specialization. It's affecting all positional formation received by adjacent champions that don't already target Archon. It's going to make things harder, I would think, in some cases. You still have to play the puzzle game with trying to make sure that everything is hitting everyone except Archon. Because if he already gets it, it doesn't really matter. It's not changing any of his abilities specifically because that doesn't change. He's going to be able to receive things that maybe he normally wouldn't. Like I have Danger Sense right now, which is great because Yorvin's all the way in the back, so I don't have to be next to Yorvin to pick up a Danger Sense. But I'm not. But the problem there is I'm not getting it off of. Like I can't. I would have to go. I would have to do it this way. Oh, I have his. I'm like, why is he taking damage? It's because I have the Hand of Eknon. I would have to do it this way to be next to him to then usurp it, and it's invert. Yeah, things get a little weird. I would say it's going to be a little more difficult. Well, it'll probably be easier with certain positionals than it was before, and harder with others, because Archon doesn't want to be hit by them. Is Archon have to be affected? No, you don't want. Yeah, you don't. You still don't want Archon affected by stuff. So he still keeps his rule. It's just all the other rules change. Jarlaxle, hey, Jarlaxle Baneray in chat. Jarlaxle, it looks like Warduke will now be the best evil DPS to use with Voronika, usurping Archon and even Krond. Your thoughts? I don't know. I don't like to make statements like that. Krond and Artemis are mathematically broken because of their items. I don't consider them amazing DPS on their own. Like at regular item levels, they become broken because of adding tens of thousands of item levels onto them. And I don't know that that's something you can just beat with Warduke, but if you weren't doing those kinds of wild numbers onto Krond and Artemis, Archon I didn't consider up there at the top. If you weren't putting those kind of numbers on Krond and Artemis, then they were average evil DPS. They were just average DPS generally. So, you know, could Warduke be better? Yeah. But he has the same challenge as Artemis in that you have to build an entire formation around his bonuses. So he's, you know, he gets stronger the more champions you collect and the stronger you make them. I'm trying to see who is the best evil DPS. I mean, Krond is in my top tier. I don't have a lot of item levels on him, and he's okay. But I have a lot. 600 on his hammer. That's the one that you want the most of. But people run this up into the 10,000s, and that's what makes it. That's what makes Krond super strong. But I can't push with I can't push with that Krond better than I can push with, say, Narak. Those item levels may get me a high Bud, but they don't allow me to push. Bud isn't everything. Who else did I have that was up there? Jordan's neutral, right? Yeah. Yeah, evil DPS were all third tier for me outside of Krond. So like Artemis and Archon came in third tier. Yeah. I mean, Warduke has the potential to be up there, so. But I won't know. I mean, it doesn't like a general. This is why I don't do tier lists. A general tier list doesn't mean anything to people. Not functionally. It isn't functional for people. You have to give people their own personalized tier list, and the personalized tier lists are based off things like item rarities, item levels, legendaries, feats, all of the other support champions, perks, blessings, and Modron cores available, and their flow levels and their overflow levels, and so yeah. There's a lot that goes into that. That's why I don't really do tier lists. I make one for myself, so I know who I should target for content. But because all of my champions aren't equal, the tier list isn't balanced for anything. Randram should be pointed out for Warduke that even after inverted, conditions still apply, like 15 decks for Zorbius Hunter's pack. Oh yeah. It doesn't invert the conditions. It just inverts the positional location, like what it's going to affect positionally. Yeah. A lot of people were thinking it inverts everything about it, and it's like, no. It's just, if it inverts the positional, it inverts the positional. It doesn't invert anything else. Is there an average number of tokens you get from a gold chest? Somebody's probably come up with some kind of average for that. Like what you're talking about is like based off the bounty contracts that you get. I don't run that kind of math to figure stuff out. I just find functional use case scenarios for myself, and then I let people know what those are. Yeah, I don't look at it because it's RNG. I mean, there's so much RNG involved. Those kinds of numbers, like average number of something you get from something, it's all based off large numbers, and in reality, most of us, even I, don't open large enough numbers to make that matter. I end up with a vast swing, even just with opening 1,500 chests. My total tokens that I get swing up and down based off how those get spread out in rarities. So even I'm not dealing with large numbers, or numbers large enough for the statistical average to matter. Gecko, can Warduke help Whittle reach the Tasty Friends speed cap informations that make adjacency difficult? I mean, Tasty Friends would apply to everyone not adjacent to Whittle, so you would put Whittle, unlike Baby, you'd put Whittle in a corner. And then it would apply to, and then you would get the bonus from 8 people, right? That's how I'm reading that. Yeah, because this is the, well, I don't know. Because it's really just affecting... No, yeah, because it's reading that. It's not listing this off, but it should be getting a lot more from Hurry Up now. Hold on. It's not going to tell me. Oh, yeah, here. Age effective champion increases monsters. So 1,047% there. Oh, I need to throw more. Hold on. Let me fill the formation up. Okay. 2355, right? Whereas if I take Warduke out, let me move over. If I take Warduke out, I'm going to drop to 261, but then I put Whittle in a place where she has lots of adjacencies. I grew up to 1309. This is I'm almost at max adjacencies. 6 is the max. So yeah, Tasty Friends is way better with Warduke, as to be expected, as long as you stick Baby in a corner. Yeah, that's a much bigger bonus to speed. Much bigger. Let's pull everybody out so we don't confuse who we're talking about. Nicholas Italy, I'm new to the game. Should I be playing the event, the normal adventures, or both? You want to focus, your main focus should be on the event because it's a limited time only. It's going to get you new champions and gear for those champions. That's the point of doing the event. Collecting new champions is how you get more pushing power in the game. One of the main big ways, because you get more tools to be able to build formations with and be able to complete content. So focus on that. You have to have tokens to start those. If you run out of tokens, you can go do regular stuff and hop back into the Sword Coast, do regular campaign stuff until you have enough tokens to start a new adventure. But your primary focus should be on the event. Start this whole VOD over and watch again from the beginning for more tips. Tis Forest, if Valentine socialites an ability to Archon, can he still usurp that ability if it applies to an adjacent champion but not him directly? This is not necessarily about this event, but we're in the general stage now. So adjacent but not him directly getting 2 buffed. I don't think so. I don't know. Because I'll be honest, I don't find Archon that useful, so I don't try to build scenarios with, where the heck is Valentine again? There she is. I don't try to create scenarios with Archon that often. Let me see, is Archon any dangers? Is he usurping anything? No. We need to usurp something and then see if it even works. It says he's usurping it. And Valentine should be socializing. Should be socializing that same ability. Maybe that's why it says. I don't know. Yeah. I don't find Archon super useful, so I don't use Archon. So it's hard for me to say on this. I'm not seeing applied. Hold on. Let me put Warduke back here and see if it goes on Warduke, because it shouldn't be. It shouldn't if he's adjacent. Is he still getting? He is, but it says inverted from socialite. So, no, Archon's getting it from Usurp and not Socialite. I don't think... Here's the thing. I think... Mars can correct me. I think they turned Valentine off for Archon's Usurp. I don't think Valentine and Archon work together when he's usurping. Someone probably said this in chat already. Mars might remember better. But yeah, I think they specifically made it so they don't work together. Same with Artemis, so that the game wouldn't break. Vivich, approximately how many event tokens does one need to get all epics for a champion? That's not a... I can't... It's all RNG. I tried to explain this. Like, we can give you the number for if you have the worst luck, which is somewhere in the EO5 range, like 2 to 3 EO5. I had 3 EO5 tokens this time because there's multiple layers of RNG. There's RNG on are you getting gold chests or not? And then there's RNG on what's coming out of those chests. So when you have multiple layers of RNG, all you can do is tell somebody worst case scenario numbers, and that's not realistic. That's not realistic. I can tell you I have between 2 and 3 EO5 tokens. What does that mean? That means I have 200 to 300,000 tokens that I spend every event. And I can full epic, as long as I'm at like 250,000 or more, I tend to full epic champions. That takes me opening minimum 1,500 gold chests, which means I'm spending, currently I tend to be spending about 500,000 gems on chests every 3 weeks. That's not viable for people outside the end game, and it shouldn't be what you're focused on when you're newer. When you're newer, you should just be focusing on making sure that all of the champions have at least minimal full blue gear with as many epics as you could RNG out of them. And make sure in between events, you're spending your gems, you're opening lots of chests, getting lots of bounty contracts. Again, I personally target gold chests once you're not a brand new player. But you do you, and see what happens. It's a function, like getting to the point I'm at is a function of doing lots of gem farming, which means I'm not completing a lot of the regular content. I'm just farming gems to get power and then completing content in between as I find time. I spend a lot of time idling though, so like AFK. Let me head back and hit some of the general questions. Meancab, if I have Human and Briv at their item cap, Briv doesn't have an item cap. Yeah? Is there a reference somewhere to other champions that would have similar benefits next? Virgil and Sentry both have item caps for their speed, like Human does. Briv doesn't cap. So after capping Human and getting Briv to whatever you want, like 4 jump minimum is usually where we like to see people, and then you can put the feed on that sticks it at 4, unless you're super trying to get to 9. But 9 is difficult to maintain because then you can't open certain kinds of chests ever again once you're at perfect 9. So once you have Human capped and you have Briv where they want, Sentry and Virgil, right? Yes, Virgil both have a capping item. So Virgil's is 5, it's rapid fire. If it's a shiny epic, it caps at 1985. If it's a regular epic, it's like over 3,000. Sentry's is slot 3, it's her shifting vines or flowering hair vines. Golden epic caps at 252. Shiny epic caps at like 5 something. So much easier to hit a goal of average item levels on Sentry than on Virgil. So just target whatever you want. But those are the only ones with caps. After that, Whittles is uncapped. It's functionally capped, but we don't know what the actual number is because they can't give it an actual number because it depends on how strong your system is. So it's functionally capped, but it's not technically capped because reasons. They should have just technically capped it. They should have just capped it somewhere lower than what it was so that you couldn't just fully cap with just Whittle. Whittle suffers from the Humont problem, and eventually at some point they'll cap her and people will get upset, but set your expectations now, folks. Valdemar Night Road. I know this can be subjective, as with everything in this game. Is Xerophon worth all this effort? Yes. Do they provide something that was missing from the game? Do they provide something that was missing? That's a different question. I like what Xerophon does. I think they're worth, but like effort, like what effort? Like I just set them in. I put them in my formation, and I choose their specializations to give them the lowest cooldown. I park a familiar on the ultimate, and then I do my run. I don't know that that's a lot of effort. I think maybe what you mean by effort is you're looking at the people that try to figure out how to get his ability capped on a run. I don't do that. I just use Xerophon, and they work. I've never been in a situation where I like needed all of what Xerophon offered. Yeah. Oh, if you mean effort in doing lessons of classes, I didn't find that effort either. I thought that was a lot of fun. I play this game for the puzzles. I play this game to solve the puzzles, and the puzzles are the patron variant or the variants. And lesson in classes is a great puzzle. I have a guide for that on the YouTube. Libnock, a little off topic. Were you able to stabilize your Briv Gem Farm? Yes. But I have to double stack, and that's not ideal. That's not ideal. I have to start stacking on one level, move to another one, and start stacking there. I lose some time, so it isn't as efficient. It's still more efficient than anything else. I'm earning lots of gems. Oh, well, I was at about 900,000 gems. So it's earning me lots of gems, but it could be more efficient. I just don't have the champions to make it what I need. I need him more survivable. There's probably some adjustments. I don't know. I think I have to give up some speed to make him more survivable, and then I have to rate like is it worth giving up that speed for? And I don't know. Great Big Slug. How many levels do you need to progress for each order of magnitude of gold find you lose with a pushing party? What? My slow gold find party is like E26 more gold find than my pushing party, and outside of getting a 40 stack, I get more gold going 200 less stages, but higher gold find? I don't know, because that's not a situation I would ever do. Like, Great Big Slug, do you have Azaka? Are you on a console? Here's the thing. Console gamers and mobile gamers have to play this game in a different way than the rest of us. If we're on PC, we Azaka farm. You push as far as you can. You isolate an enemy. And then you bring in that high gold find group, and you get the benefits of both pushing super deep and using lots of gold find. You're on PC. Great Big Slug. Last week, Mars, is it up on YouTube yet? Last week I did Gaarawarr's Guide to Azaka Farming. Learn to Azaka farm. You get outrageous amounts of gold by pushing deep and Azaka farming to combine both of those effects. And you say outside of getting a 40 stack. Well, the whole point of Azaka farming is getting a 40 stack. So, and it doesn't take that long. So I don't know. I mean, do whatever you want, ultimately, at the end of the day. But you say outside of getting a 40 stack, which means, well, outside of actually Azaka farming in an optimal way, I do better this way. Well, then do that way if you don't want to go through the trouble of Azaka farming. But, yeah. At the end of the day, play the game however you want to play it. Just know that a 40 stack Azaka farm is optimal gameplay. It doesn't mean you have to do it. Yeah, because I don't I would never push with a gold find party just to see where I ended up. If I want favor, I'm going to do a deep push with my best pushing group or in a click debuff group. That's sadly still my best situation, still my best group in some situations. And then getting a 40 stack. It's like 45 minutes trying to get the 40. Well, sometimes it's RNG. It's RNG. Sometimes I get it immediately. Sometimes it takes me 20 minutes. If it's taking you 40, then maybe pay more attention to how I was explaining to get a more efficient stack by pulling out your clickers or pulling out your DPS and giving time to build up pilfer stacks to give you your best opportunity at getting a 40 stack. It's all practice. It takes practice. It takes diligent practice to start generating 40 stacks quickly, well, relatively quickly. But considering it can take many, many, many hours to get to a wall for someone at my state, like 1400 plus is a wall is my final wall for me. It takes a lot. Even I can get quickly to 1,000. Those last 400 can take multiple hours. So even if I spent 30-40 minutes on a 40 stack Azaka farm, I mean, I already spent multiple hours. I want to get the most I can out of it. I don't want to get less. So it's worth it to me. Dino J, what are your gems per hour with your current setup? I don't know. I don't use those sites that would tell me that. I don't use any site that I have to put my my game info in, like copy paste something, and I don't do that. So I will use sites and I will just use information off of them, but I won't put my game information into it until Idle Champions or until Codename creates an API that those sites can safely access my data without, potential problems. I don't do that. Last question, Jacques of Hearts. My Briv is 3.16 jumps. Isn't that is 3.16 pi? I'm not a math nerd. Is your Briv a pi jump? A pi jumper? Are they an Olympic pi jumper? With how unstable jump farming can be with weak wake and buff, should I try to set up a 4 jump jump? Yes. Yes. Trying to get your Briv to 4 skip. It's 3.14. Okay, I was close. I'm thinking, it's a religious reference. Yeah, screw that. I was close. Yeah, your goal with Briv is to get their items up to the point where he is a quad jumper. And then you use the feat and you lock it in at 4, and then you create a stable gem farming situation. So you want to do that. I use them either. I just note the time and the current gems for a long run and then the time and number of gems. I don't bother. I don't bother. I just look at my total and I go, wow, it looks like I made a lot this week. That's nice. Yeah, Stone Cold Austin. There we go. So we'll call it a Stone Cold Steve Austin Briv farmer. Yeah, 3.16. All right, folks, that's it. We're out for the day. If you enjoyed this, we'll be back next week. If you enjoyed hanging out with me, I'll be back in about an hour on my channel, twitch.tv/Gaarawarr. You can see it down below. And we're back with that Final Fantasy Saturday action. We're playing Final Fantasy V. We're probably gonna mow through. Last week was a farming week. Last Saturday was a farming day, Azaka farming, and then Final Fantasy farming. Today we're OP, and we're just gonna start rolling through content, I hope. So I'll see you in an hour for that. We're going out with Bunny Beast. Enjoy.
Shadow fell, dropped by hags into my personal hell. There's chaos inside, I will never quell. This rage will never dispel. Took the shadows inside me and I made them my strength. Learned to live like a beast to survive. To get back to my home, I would go any length in the dark. reach and claw my way back to the light. Gonna make those hags wish they were dead tonight. I am the burning beast, primal rage unleashed. My vengeance is coming for you. I am the burning beast, you've become my beast, and there's nothing that you can do. No. My wicked claws and my deadly bite, ripping monsters apart, eyes burning bright, tattoos blazing with terrible might. Soon I'll have my prey in my sight. Hunger for vengeance burning cold in my gut, growing darker day by day.